Hey guys, it's Greg from BitGoblin again, and for today, I'm going to give you all my top 5 security tips for staying safe online and protecting your accounts and data from evildoers. This is growing ever more important as the days pass by and more of our lives are online with things like communication via email and IM, social media profiles, personal notes, source code for hobby and business software projects. The list goes on and on and on. So why don't you all just sit back, relax, grab a drink, and learn how you can keep your accounts safe.
You smell that? It smells like a bit goblin.
The first security tip for today is to use a strong password on all of your accounts and hopefully make them all unique. By a strong password, I mean something like this, which is just a bunch of random characters, including lower, uppercase letters, numbers, and special characters randomly strewn throughout. Or if you prefer something a bit more memorable, then you can create a password out of an uncommon phrase, like, "My cat pooped on the floor today and my house smells great." The reason for a long password that's randomized, or at least a super long phrase, is that it makes it harder for random attackers to try and brute force your accounts. A longer password essentially increases the number of possible combinations of characters that your password could be, which means just randomly guessing your password gets a lot harder for every character added. And also, whatever you do, just don't use a common word or phrase like, "I hate my job." This one in particular you'll find with surprising regularity, since smarter attackers will have tables of commonly used passwords to start with before moving on to another potential victim. My second tip for today ties in nicely with my last tip about strong passwords, and that is to use a password manager like Bitwarden or KeePass. These tools let you safely store and use all of your passwords through a nice, user-friendly interface, using only a single password, and hopefully some sort of second-factor authentication like timed passcodes on your phone or a physical key. Using password managers makes it a lot easier to use strong and randomly generated passwords for each of your accounts, since it allows you to simply copy and paste your credentials into your website or app. While it does create a single source for all of your passwords, as long as you properly protect your password vault, then you can drastically increase the security of all of your online accounts using much longer and much more random passwords. Plus, a lot of these password managers have features like secure notes and password autofilling on websites and apps, making it a lot easier to log in and not have to sit there typing in a 30-character long password that makes no sense. Moving on to tip number 3 is to keep your systems up to date. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, there are always tons of systems that are out of date for various reasons, whether it's sheer laziness that keeps putting off updates, an irrational fear of updating and things changing, or in some cases, you'll see this in businesses a lot. And the problem with using out-of-date software, especially with operating systems like Windows and Linux, is that a lot of times they have bugs and vulnerabilities that are really easy to exploit, or at least well known enough to exploit. And a lot of times this is easily fixed with just simply updating your systems. Yes, I know that Windows updates, and updates in general for other operating systems, do change things for the worse sometimes, and there are even some critical bugs like Windows 10's bug a few years ago that deleted people's documents and folders, and sometimes it's just easier just to roll with what you already know works. But it makes your life a lot easier by being on both a supported OS and keeping your machines up to date. Again, it's a really simple process that will fix a lot of security bugs and vulnerabilities with not too much work, and to me, it really is worth the effort of somewhat routinely running through updates, and it only gets harder and harder the longer you wait to update. Numero 4 on the docket for today is to keep regular backups of your data, and also test restoring it occasionally. While this might sound like more of a data protection bullet than a security thing, backups become really important when a system becomes compromised in a manner in which it is irrecoverable, or at least it's easier to wipe it and restore it than to recover. Examples of this can be ransomware, which will encrypt everything on your system and demand a ransom be paid before unlocking it for you. Or maybe your PC gets a worm that can be spread to other systems if it's connected to your network. Either way, these instances become much more of a minor inconvenience with proper backups, rather than a dark, pain-filled tragedy like Romeo and Juliet. And honestly, isn't it kind of cool telling the hackers to go piss off just because you have backups and don't need to pay them for your data? And back to the point about restoring your backups, this is important too, since backups are great, but completely useless if you can't restore from your backups. Maybe you just blindly trusted some random backup software you found online, and the backups are hard to work with, or maybe you messed up with your backup scheme and just wrote a bunch of garbled data to your backup drive. Hello, I've done that before. Or maybe even your backup drive just straight up died. There are many reasons you might have trouble with your backups in the event of a failure, and it's much easier to keep on top of making sure your backups are healthy before you really need them. The last tip for today is something that may not apply to everyone, though is strongly encouraged where possible. This is to self-host your data, if you're familiar with how to host and maintain services, of course. Again, this may not seem like a security tip and more of a privacy measure, but if you pay attention to sites like Have I Been Pwned, you'll know that big sites get compromised basically every day, and keeping control of your data when possible really helps cut down on the possibility of you being a part of a larger heist. And I don't know about you, but there really aren't many people these days that I would trust with keeping my data secure. To me, it's always annoying getting emails saying like, oh, your account has been part of a breach, and due to no fault of your own, your information is now publicly available. These days, it's really not all that difficult if you're at least a little familiar with running services on Windows, Linux, or a BSD, and there's tons of great software available for various self-hosted service needs. You have Nextcloud and CFile for cloud storage, you have Funkwhale for music, Jellyfin and Plex for TV shows, movies, and other media, amongst many, many others. I don't know the exact number, but on my home network, I have something like 20, 25 systems running with various services. But either way, there are plenty of things to host. And again, this may not be for everyone, since you'll need some machine to run these on, and sometimes it can be a pain troubleshooting issues when a service is down and your family just wants to watch TV or whatever. But to me, and many others, it is a fun endeavor and can help keep your data under your control, and not at the whim of some business that thinks security is just a joke. Alright guys, that's all I have for today. I went through 5 tips and I said 5, and I hope you liked it. I do plan on getting back to some computer hardware and Linuxy videos soon, such as an investigation and my thoughts on thermal pads for CPUs, a look at the Intel Pentium G3258 processor, now that it's about 7 years old or so, and a look at Fedora Linux. It's just been a long process moving in, and getting my test bench up and running here keeps getting pushed back for other projects, and small things like getting networking to it keep getting in the way. But anyways, as always, I hope you liked the video, and let me know if you did by hitting the like or dislike buttons down below. And if you did like it, then don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos, and hit me up on the BitGoblin Discord server just to chat up with me or hit me up with questions. Leave me your thoughts on the video in the comment section below, and I will catch you in the next one.